5 money traps. Every new arrival to Australia falls into at least 2 of them in their first 12 months. The smallest costs you around $2,000. The biggest, the one nobody warns you about, costs over $300,000 across your working life. I'm ranking them from smallest to biggest, so stay until number 1. If you moved to Australia in the last year, or you know someone who did, at least 2 of these are quietly costing you money right this second. If you're in your first 30 days, you can avoid all 5. If you're past that window, 3 are still fully reversible. Let's count them down. According to the ABS, 568,000 people arrived in Australia as migrants in 2024 to 25. The median age was 26. 2 out of 3 came on temporary visas students, working holidays, skilled workers. Most don't sit down with a financial advisor for the first 18 months, which is exactly why the same mistakes keep repeating. Every one of the 5 traps below starts inside the first 30 days after landing. All 5 share one thing in common, but I'll come back to that. First, the countdown. Trap number 5, the one that quietly costs you a house, or the difference between 2 houses. In your first year, you need a credit history. Australia uses Equifax and Alien and Experian to score you. And here's the trap. Without a credit file, you're not clean slate to an Australian bank. You're a black hole. A nurse called Priya arrived from India 3 years ago with a clean financial record, no debt, no defaults, plenty of savings. When she applied for a home loan in year 2, her bank still offered her a rate 0.3% higher than the standard advertised rate because she had no Australian credit history. On a $500,000 loan over 30 years, that quarter-point difference costs her about $37,000 in extra interest. Preventable in month 1, with a simple utilities account and a small no-fee credit card, paid off in full each month. Trap number 4, the one you're already inside if you started working before your tax file number came through. Every job in Australia asks for your TFN. If you don't have one when you start, or you fill out the form wrong, your employer is legally required to withhold tax at 47%, the top marginal rate on every dollar you earn. For a working holiday visa holder on $28 an hour, that's over $800 a fortnight vanishing to the ATO. You get it back, but only when you lodge a tax return the following July, which means you're loaning the government thousands of your dollars interest-free for up to 12 months. Every year, the ATO returns billions in over-withheld tax to migrants who didn't apply for a TFN in week 1, or didn't tick the correct residency box on the declaration. Now, here's something worth noticing. Traps 5 and 4 are already happening in the first 60 days. They both happen because you're new. And they both happen because you don't know the invisible defaults you're being enrolled in. Every trap on this list works the same way a decision you didn't know you were making. Which is why the person who reads a checklist in month 1 ends up $30,000, $40,000, $300,000 ahead of the person who figures it out in month 24. Trap number 3, the one that feels the most responsible. Sending most of your paycheck home. If you're supporting family back home, this feels like the obvious right thing to do, and it is, up to a point. But most new arrivals send far more than they need to. The World Bank tracks remittances out of Australia at over $10 billion a year. For a skilled migrant earning $90,000 who sends $1,000 a month home instead of investing it here, the compound cost is severe. That same $1,000 a month, put into a diversified ETF at 7% net return, becomes around $173,000 over 10 years. The choice isn't stop supporting family. The choice is find the split, say, half sent, half invested locally. Because in year 11, you have a house deposit. In year 20, you have a retirement. Trap number 2, the one that quietly waits for you to have one bad month. Income protection insurance. In Australia, if you can't work an accident, an illness, a slow recovery from surgery, Medicare covers your health costs, but it doesn't cover your rent, your groceries, or the fact that you can't earn. 1 in 4 workers in Australia will face 6 months or more off work at some point in their career. Income protection covers up to 75% of your salary until you can go back for around $30 to $80 a month at your age, depending on your job. Most migrants have no idea it exists. Their home country either had public benefits or nothing at all. Australia's system requires you to opt in. And if you don't, and something happens in year 3 or 4, you can lose everything you built in year 1 and 2 in 6 months of no income. This trap has no dollar figure. because it depends on what happens to you. But the downside is your whole balance sheet. Trap number 1. This is the one nobody in your family, no free settlement service, no visa consultant will tell you about. Your first employer will sign you up for a superannuation fund. If you don't nominate one, they use the default, which since November 2021 is the fund from your first employer, stapled to you for life unless you actively change it. Superannuation is money the government forces every employer to pay on top of your salary, 12% of your gross, straight into a retirement account. You can't touch until you're 60. Over a working life, at a median wage, that's around $8,000 to $10,000 going in every year for 35 to 40 years. Which fund it goes into decides everything. APRA's data shows the gap between top and bottom performers is around 6 percentage points a year over 5-year windows, compounded across a career. That's the difference between 1.3 million and 2.1 million at retirement. Take a graduate called Ravi. He landed in Sydney at 28 and started at a small consulting firm. They defaulted him into a retail super fund with fees of 1.4% a year. 15 years in, his balance is around 80,000. His identical friend, who chose a top decile industry fund with fees of 0.6, around 98,000. Same salary, same contribution, 18 grand behind, and the gap widens every year. Extrapolated to age 67, that's over $300,000 in retirement. He'll never see. So the countdown is over. But here's the thing I promised. Every one of those 5 traps shares a single common cause. There's actually a 6th trap hiding underneath all of them, and it's bigger than the other 5 combined because it's what makes all of them happen in the first place. The 6th trap is the pattern under the other 5. Every mistake on this list happens because Australia's financial system is opt-in by default, and the default option is designed for the average lifelong resident, not for a new arrival. If you do nothing, the system doesn't just fail to help you, it actively enrolls you into the worst version of itself. Wrong super fund, wrong tax withholding, no credit file, no insurance, wealth flowing out instead of accumulating. The 6th trap is assuming the system will look after you. It won't. In your home country, it might have. Here, silence is a choice, and the choice is expensive. Here's the fix. In 30 days. Week 1. Apply for a TFN through the ATO before you sign any employment contract, and correctly tick the Australian tax resident box on your TFN declaration. Open an Australian bank account and a no annual fee credit card, and put 1 bill on it. Week 2. Check your first payslip. Find the super fund your employer defaulted you into. Go to the ATO's Your Super comparison tool and check its 10-year performance and fees. If it's in the bottom half, submit a superannuation standard choice form to switch that alone can be worth 100 grand at retirement. Week 3. Work out your household budget with your remittances honestly listed. Decide the split you can sustain half home, half local. Investing is a common landing spot. Set up a low-fee ETF account and automate it. Week 4. Get an income protection quote. Even a bare-bones policy at $30 a month is better than nothing. That's it. 4 small tasks. Combine defense against every trap on this list, plus the 6th. So the pattern behind every trap is the same. Australia's financial system doesn't punish new arrivals. It just doesn't advocate for them. The 5 traps aren't traps because the system is hostile. They're traps because you're expected to do the choosing, and nobody tells you the choices exist. Do the 4 things above in your first month, and you've already leapt 3 years ahead of every arrival who figures it out on year 2. And the $300,000 trap from the start? It's the super default. It's the single most consequential financial decision most migrants make, and most of them make it by accident, in a form they signed on their first day of work, without reading. 20 minutes on the ATO Your Super tool can permanently reverse it, and your future self, at 67, will thank you. Give this video a like if it's useful. Subscribe for weekly Aussie money breakdowns, and send this to someone in their first year here. They need it more than they know. See you next one.